kids these days, right? The biggest game out there right now involves mining and building things on your computer. What? I mean, come on. If you haven't been smacked in the face with a Lincoln log or received a corneal abrasion from a red 2x2 Lego piece, oddly specific, I know, is that really a fulfilling childhood? Okay, so far in our discussion of drugs that affect homeostasis, we've covered drugs that prevent clot formation. But what if you already have a clot and you just want to blast it apart now? Well, get ready to relive your childhood, or if you're like me, vicariously relive someone else's ideal and not repressed childhood, now as I introduce you to the fibrinolytic agents. First, recall our heparin Hunter sketch when we depicted the final steps of the clotting cascade. Thrombin, or factor II, converting fibrinogen into an insoluble fibrin mesh. This process was represented by a thrombeaver, of course, setting up a mesh of fibrin fibers for his dam. These cross linked fibrin molecules stabilize a platelet plug, and there you have it. A thrombus is formed. This fibrin mesh is once again the centerpiece of our sketch, this time represented by a little wall of sticks constructed by a girl playing in the sandbox. The goal of fibrinolytic therapy is to rapidly lyse thrombi by digesting that fibrin mesh. In other words, we're going to blast that wall of sticks down. First, let me introduce you to our fibrinolytic agents. Take a look behind the girl. See the toy play set that the girl has brought along with her? Well, if you look closely, we've highlighted the letters TPA, which stands for Tissue Plasminogen Activator. TPA is a central player in our normally functioning fibrinolytic pathway. You see, when endothelial cells get damaged, the coagulation cascade and platelet activation aren't the only processes that are jump started. Endothelial cells also release TPA to aid in clot digestion so that your clotting cascade doesn't go coagulation crazy. TPA can also be given pharmacologically in large doses for rapid clot lysis. Available recombinant forms of TPA include alteplase, retaplase, and tenecteplase. Just think of our alteplase playset. The other fibrinolytic agent we'll highlight is streptokinase, represented by this cool interlocking purple toy set. Streptoconnectors. Come on, you remember streptoconnectors, right? I mean, all the cool kids had them. We chose a chain of purple spheres because it's a recurring sketchy symbol for streptococcal bacterial species, which can be visualized as gram-positive chains. Streptokinase is a protein synthesized by streptococci, and it can be used clinically to promote clot lysis. Here's how the fibrinolytic agents work. Fibrinolysis involves the digestion of fibrin by plasmin, a fibrin-specific protease. Before it becomes active, however, it floats around in your circulation as plasminogen. Plasminogen will be embodied by the plasma general, the villainous leader of Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world. Sorry, that won't happen again. So, plasminogen is circulating around as an inactive precursor, just waiting to be activated. And that's where our fibrinolytic agents come in. TPA and streptokinase work by enhancing the conversion of plasminogen to plasmin, the active fibrinolytic protease. Just like our plasminogen plasma general getting here activated. Pew, 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 pew! These activated plasma beams represent, of course, activated plasmin, which degrades the fibrin clot just like these plasma beams toppling our fibrin wall. Fibrinolytic agents such as TPA cause a systemic lytic state with low fibrinogen and lots of fibrin degradation products. In other words, these agents affect the very end of the coagulation cascade, that fibrin clot. Therefore, both the intrinsic and extrinsic coagulation pathways are inhibited, prolonging both the PTT and PT times. So we've brought back our recurring extrinsic PT paratrooper. Yo, Joe! No? G.I. Joe? Anyone? And prolonged PTT is depicted, as always, by that sound that, let's face it, we all would reflexively blurt out if it were socially acceptable. During active fibrinolysis, fibrin degradation products are released into the circulation. Fibrin D dimer, specifically, is one of the major fibrin degradation products released upon cleavage of cross linked fibrin by plasmin. Think of D dimer as these little twigs left over after demolishing our fibrin wall. We've even made the leaves look like a pair of Ds for D dimer. While it's the degradation of fibrin that causes an elevation of D dimer concentrations, it can be clinically useful to obtain D dimer levels when evaluating for ongoing thrombosis. That's because in times of intravascular coagulation, such as DVT, PE, or if it's really bad, DIC, excessive clot formation is accompanied by excessive clot turnover as well, resulting in lots of fibrin degradation products floating around. Okay, let's go over a few clinical uses of fibrinolytics. Remember, the other drugs in this chapter, antiplatelet agents, heparin, warfarin, they can only prevent the development or extension of a thrombus. Fibrinolytics, on the other hand, can be administered IV in the acute setting to enhance clot lysis and restore perfusion. Useful in the setting of ischemic stroke, for example. A stroke of black paint on a painter's cap is our recurring sketchy symbol for ischemic stroke, this time worn by our budding radiologist at the easel here. An uncanny recreation of a non-contrast T1 weighted CT of the head, don't you think? Timely restoration of blood flow is the most effective maneuver for salvaging ischemic brain tissue. However, the benefits of reperfusion therapy decrease rapidly over a matter of hours, so IV TPA therapy is usually initiated within 3 to 4.5 hours of symptom onset. We've highlighted this narrow time window on the sign advertising the time of this after-school painting session. IV fibrinolytic therapy can also be useful during the acute management of serious venous and arterial thromboses, including severe DVT and PE with hemodynamic instability.